Good morning, guys. I've got something a little bit different for you today. I actually played a set with UnRooolie, also known as Kenny from the Videogames crew. He's a good friend of Maximilian Dude. He's just as into TEPPEN as I am, and he happened to be streaming earlier this week, and we played a few games on stream, and he suggested to me, why don't you throw this up on YouTube? So here you go. He played most of his set using a mono black spike launch Nergigante, which is a great deck, and I thought this would be a nice opportunity to show off something I've been experimenting with, which is green and purple Kikosho. The reason I'm using Kikosho is I want to find an excuse to make something usable that's not Yawn, with it being as prevalent as it is. So because I'm a big fan of the flyer rushdown style that those purple and mostly black shells tend to do really well with, you've seen them in several of my videos, I wanted to try to make that work with Kikosho and stacking up shields. And the inspiration I got from this was actually playing against somebody on the ranked ladder who ran a deck really similar to this, and I got smacked around by it, and I thought, wow, maybe there's something to this. Now, I'm not saying this Kikosho build is tier 1 or anything. I'm not even saying it's tier 2 or tier 3. It is more than likely tier 4 than anything else. But I do think it's nice to take some different decks for a spin. And as you can see here, I've got a pretty wide lead in the first game. Kenny admitted himself that his deck struggles against a multitude of flyers, which he could probably stand to have a few more destructive effects in his deck, but Spike Launch is really, really good right now. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Nergigante. Kenny said that he really enjoys the hero, and this is kind of the deck that he works towards. This is the deck that he grinds with and feels the most comfortable with, and I 100% understand that. Nergigante is one of the few heroes in the game who has two really playable hero arts. That's Spike Dive Bomb and Spike Launch. Change form I'm not super crazy about, but you know, that's a discussion for another time. So here we go into game 2. We have a Kechawacha, which is something I like to start with. If you've watched any of my videos about these flying rushdown style decks, you'll know that Kechawacha is a really good way to start. So that's what we go with. We end up only having the Hashenko second off, but it's okay. We'll be able to use that to stop something and then get some flight damage off. I think Kenny started with a rough hand there because he had to play that initial monster to set up for Alexia. Getting the Kechawacha is really good for him. It puts me in a really bad spot because I don't have any other units other than Karin. So I just opt for wasting the seal. We're going to throw the Karin down to start chewing through some of his health because I don't have any other unit options at this point. We drew into the Pyrobat, but now the Karin's running low on life, chewed through several units, so we need to do what we can to protect her. So the wall jump right here, and we are closing in on a Kikosho, so we're going to get a little bit of a cushion, as I guess you can say, against some of what this deck is capable of doing. The Raw Gate comes out on top from Kenny. You know, a lot of these Nergigante style cards sacrificing life, obviously, to beef up Spike Launch. So now I have a board full of flyers. I put the Raw Paloma out there for maximum Kikosho value, and because we have 3 of the cards that if you only use it on a board without 3 units, you only get a shield. But if you use that 3 MP green action when you have a full board, then everybody gets a shield, and that includes your hero and all the units on the board. Another card I want to talk about is a 14th Elite unit, which was, I had it in my hand, but I cycled it out. But it is a 5 MP cost epic action. It's the one with X, 0, and Sigma on it, which gives a buff to your full board if you have it. So this is really good for Kenny. Using the Betrayal on the Lair. Lair is super, super annoying. She gives so much MP boost, and she has that anti-air style when played direct damage to a flyer. So I think that was a good call on his part. We end up with Kechawacha, which is a great way to start. Unfortunately, we only have 2 Palomus, and I'm not a big fan of playing unascended Palomus, but we don't really have a choice here because we don't really have anything else. So we end up with 3 Palomus. I play another one unascended to get the halt effect from the Kechawacha. Now we're going to be looking to get rid of this Kechawacha in the middle and ascend on top of it for Palomu because it's done its job. So now we have 3 flyers, one of them moving particularly fast, and you know how this goes. We're going to be looking to beef up that flyer to keep him around. This beast cannon to beef up this Palomu is going to give us a Kikosho, which is fantastic. He uses Starvation Impulse, which if you've ascended at least once, it's going to provide a lot of beef to your gate. What I probably should have done in this situation is I should have soul reflected the Starvation Impulse instead of buffing the second Palomu. I do think that was a misplay on my part looking back at it now. But we do get the Kikosho for maximum shield value. And now he goes for another Starvation Impulse, so we can use the Soul Reflect here because I don't want that crow getting any bigger, because as of right now it's the only real form of anti-air that Kenny is able to rock. So he Selfish Predations in response to give himself some more life, which I think is smart. You definitely don't want to do that on the gate because he's the only one who's swinging for any form of real damage. The unfortunate thing for Kenny here is because he's got Spike Launch, but I've got enough shields on the board that he's not really going to get a ton of value there. So he's looking for opportunities to try to pop some of those shields, but I'm chipping away at his health pretty quickly. He opts to Spike Launch here to get rid of that big Palomu, the one with agility, and pop the other 2 shields. But at this point in the game, it's just a little bit too late. I seal the Tyrant for good measure because I know it's really, really close as to which one is going to attack first, and Kenny scoops on this one. So after that game, he decides to switch it up and go with Ryu. Ryu is another hero that he's really comfortable with. This is kind of an old school, as he calls it, Shinku Hadouken build that kind of plays a little bit differently to the standard, which I think is cool. Variety is the spice of life, and I love to see people experiment. I mean, why do you think I'm playing green purple Kikosho of all things? So we get a great start. We have Kechawacha, but the scary thing about Ryu is all that crazy amount of direct damage that if I don't have the shield momentum can really hurt what I'm trying to do to set up on the board. So double Kechawacha is pretty good. We're going to be looking to throw out the Pyrobat to get the halt effect there. And Infernal Magma Dragoon comes out, which can be super, 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 super scary. Chill Penguin right before that point, and he actually does something really creative here, which is Mutual Destruction on the Chill Penguin to pop one of the shields to deal damage, which I think is really cool. Unfortunately for him, I had a wall jump in my hand, so I'm able to shrug off that damage, but it was a great idea. So the Magma Dragoon coming in there almost to the point where it would trade with that first Kechawacha, but that means it's time for Palomu. He drops Agnator, which combos with the Chill Penguin for a solid 9 damage, burning up the rest of what's on my board, and now I'm in a tight spot because he's very close to Shinku Hadouken. So the best thing for me to do here is to drop this layer and get the Kikosho out ASAP because I've got to put a shield on. He Spiral Pegasuses, which manages to get the shield on the Palomu and then follows up with a Shinku. He said on stream he wasn't super happy with it, but he really felt like he had to deal with the flying unit in that moment in time, and I totally get where he's coming from. Don't blame him whatsoever. I use a Beast Cannon, and I'm going to get a headshot in response, so with the free MP, we'll use another Beast Cannon. I kind of have to, because you'll notice I don't have any other units in my hand, so I'm just cycling for cards at this point. And even after those 2 Beast Cannons, I don't have anything else. I have another Beast Cannon, and I have a Soul Reflect, which feels really, really bad. So I go for the Beast Cannon to try and cycle and see if I can get another unit, and I get another headshot for my trouble. So I'm really looking to get this last Kechawacha down here because I need more than 1 unit to especially get value off of the triple shield card that I have in there. I believe it's called Defensive Formation, but I could be wrong. And then the 14th Elite unit. So I have to protect these units that I have because they're the only ones I've got. And these Soul Reflects aren't really coming in handy because there haven't really been any opportunities for it to apply. He drops another Spiral Pegasus and throws the Shinku down to finish off the layer because that layer is generating extra MP, swinging for 8, kind of scary. So now I'm in another situation where I've only got 1 unit and I don't have a lot of tools to protect it. I've got the Seal in case something scary with growth comes out. I've got the Soul Reflex, but they haven't come in handy at this point. So I have to cycle a card. I have to. So I use that action to give myself a shield. I don't feel good about it whatsoever, but we draw into a feline, which is great. Fate Defying Ryu comes out, and we just barely get that Kikosho out in time to protect him. Now, I'm going to do my best here, and I just barely managed to get this seal off on Fate Defying Ryu. Otherwise, they would not have traded. Fate Defying Ryu would have destroyed the Kechawacha, but he still would have been stuck around. So that actually gives us the trade, which is a good thing. Neon Tiger comes out for him, and now we just have the feline, but we've got more units in our hand. So I'm going to try and get some of that shield value if I can. So we play the Pyrobat on top. We play the Palomu on top of the feline because our life totals are a little too close for comfort, and managed to close that one out. What I would consider a very close game there. I decided to switch it up at this point and go back to a meme deck that Bat suggested to me. You guys may remember this, the red-green Hey Nico Nero deck that Bat told me he believes is the best form of Nero right now. I've come to believe that I think Bat was trolling me just to try to get me to play something that is not really all that good. But I go back to it anyway, just to try to switch it up. So I start out with Barry Burton because he's got a lot of health, which means he can soak up a lot of punishment from those red units that deal damage on when played effects. Rashid into BB Hood, which is a good combo. Softens up my units, but luckily they've got a lot of health to go around. So now it's time to start using some of those buffs. So beefing up Barry Burton so he will trade with this BB Hood. There's no way I can protect him to the point where he will live, so there's no real point in trying to invest anything else in him. Lagiacrus comes out comboing with the Rashid to clear out that layer on the bottom. So now the only thing I'm really working with is the one feline on the board, and it's going to trade with the Lagiacrus no matter what I do. So I'm going to be looking to get some more of these felines out on the board. He ascends to Ed, which actually gives me a little more MP boost time, which I'm pretty grateful for. And we use Hey Nico, but unfortunately we get freaking Comboy, the worst of the three that you can explore for, because I just have that kind of luck, folks. So I'm trying to think in my head of some opportunities that I get some value off this Tomboy, but he quickly uses Agnator to get himself ready for Shinku to the middle, and he's cleared my units. So a couple things to keep in mind. I've got this epic Ryu, but even if I buff him, which I realize throughout the course of the match, I don't think you can see me hovering over it, but Ryu is not capable of triggering a Hake. So these two Hakes in my hand are dead. The A-Trans legendary action I have that copies something in my EX pocket is dead because all I have is Tomboy. And Kenny closes out that match. He smacked my cheeks around pretty good that time. So the final match of this set, I decided to whip out the Quicksilver, and that's because Zenrato messaged me and he's like, you gotta bust out the Dante. And who am I to refuse a request? So didn't have a great starting hand. We mulligan, and we don't really get a much better starting hand either. I hate playing Palomu when it's unascended. It just feels so bad. But this isn't as bad because we play the Palomu and we draw into a Kechawacha. So things could be worse. We do have a buff in hand. We have a halt in case we need it, and we draw into a Starvation Impulse. So we can get this beefy flyer aggressive damage engine up and running here shortly. Chill Penguin into BB Hood, which is a great combo for the shield and the excess damage going around. So now we're going to be using the Starvation Impulse. We are going to put just about everything we have into this Palomu. We need it to get big. We need to do everything that we can to protect it. So we're going to try our best here. I opt to use Crystal Hunter to halt the BB Hood because I want to be able to, if I can, get the halt effect from this Kechawacha. I want to be able to trigger it to get maximum value. And in hindsight, maybe that was a mistake, especially with the Magma Dragoon coming out to trigger that final level from the Chill Penguin. Now, the thing I have to keep in mind here is that he is very close to Shinku range. Now, he is board locked, but of course he's running some Ascension units, so that may not matter. So I'm trying to deal as much damage as I can here as quickly as I can. Heartless Experiment on this Palomu, which may have ended up being too big of an investment on my part. So we swing for 8 damage and we drop him down to 1. Now we have to do everything we can. So what ends up happening is we throw down the Moth and we have no way to protect this Palomu because he has Shinku and it goes down, which is really, really unfortunate. What I should have done immediately is I should have immediately used Quicksilver on that Infernal Magma Dragoon to slow it down and not wait until that last moment, because that may have given me the HP edge I needed to keep that Moth alive to deal that last amount of damage. But as you can see, that did not happen because that Moth does not have flying at this point. So we halt the Ed because the Moth at this stage of the game is really my only hope. With Pyrobat only having 2 HP, there's really little chance that he's going to live long enough to be able to swing for his 4 damage and close this out. And this match just keeps getting closer and closer and closer. And as you can see, the Moth almost dealt his damage, but the Ed was just too far along. So what I should have done there is I should have used Psycho Power so it would live, but I did not. And now I'm praying that the Palomu is going to deal his final damage, but the Chill Penguin swings first. And that is the closest game that we played right there. So Kenny taking the last 2 games off of me. So shout outs to him. I'm going to include a link to his channel in the description and his Twitch. He's a fantastic, awesome guy. Very genuine, very humble. You should go check him out. That's what I've got for you today, guys. I've got some more videos in the works, including that look into Legends of Runeterra that I've been promising for you. It's coming soon. Until then, take care, and I'll see you next time.